Oh, hello everyone. Welcome. Everybody's awake now after all that shaking. I'm excited. I was actually thinking about, wow, everybody's going to be sleepy after lunch. How I'm going to make them wake up. And there you go. You're already awake. So I'm very excited. So Chris did a great introduction. Today I'm going to be presenting about how is your leadership shaping your children. And let me show you who are my family. Oops. There you go. So this is my husband Jason and my 15-year-old boy Gabe and Diego, who is 12, and that was my birthday last year. So as she said, my background is being the field of early childhood mental health. I worked for over 20 years actually serving the Early Head Start and Head Start program, which is a program that offers low-income families and communities and children who are 3 months to 6 years old, literally a Head Start opportunity before they enter kindergarten. So I work directly in the classrooms with the teachers, providing social and emotional development for about 8 sites, and there were an average of 30 to 40 kids each. So I was responsible for their social emotional development. I also had a caseload about 10 to 12 kids. So kids with several different issues, emotional behavioral issues, trauma, abuse, and so on. And then also worked for other nonprofits organizations who cared for children and families with very disruptive family issues and dysfunctional families and behavioral issues, emotional issues. So that is a little bit about my background, and now I live in San Diego. I used to live in Portland, Oregon, and I have a small private practice and also do some family coaching and then so also business coaching, so kind of diverse. So the agenda for today is we're going to look into the education through the eyes of the Spiritist doctrine, which is the education of the soul in the view of the Spiritist doctrine, the educations of our own emotions, educating the future leaders of our world, and steps to become a powerful leader for your children, final reflections, and then questions and answers. So that's quick and short. So let's get started. So before I started, I wanted you to picture a child that you love. And you're going to have that child in the back of your mind throughout the whole lecture. So it could be your own children, could be a child that you work with, or you contact with. So just have that child in your mind. Many, could be whatever, doesn't matter. Just to have someone. So what is the education through the eyes of the Spiritist doctrine? It is the education of the soul. And I created this lecture assuming not everybody comes from the Spiritist religion. So in order to give you some background and foundation, we're going to go through some concepts of the Spiritist doctrine that's very important for you to understand in order to get involved and understand the lecture. So the first concept is that beautiful child, you have it in your mind, that once perhaps you held in your hands, beautiful, innocent little baby. It is not a blank canvas. So children are not a blank canvas. Instead, they are eternal spirits, right? And through the concept of reincarnation, we all enter this world not to begin a new journey, but rather to continue one already started a long time ago. So that's a very important concept in the Spiritist doctrine. To believe that all of us, we come here to continue something already started. When you look into that child, the innocent child that you think of, it is not a blank canvas. So that's a very important one. We're born again and again, right? And why we're born again and again? When we're born again and again, we are giving an opportunity to start something fresh, to educate ourselves and become better people. So what we bring with us an emotional, spiritual, psychological baggage from all the lives. That's how, for example, you explain how siblings are so different from one another. Think about your own family and how you're different from your brother or sister. right? Same parenting, but you have very different personalities, different likes and dislikes. And then how you explain also those talented children, right? That are born, like, have never, for example, taken a piano lesson or class, and by the age of 4, they sit on the piano and then play that beautiful Mozart piece. Oops. I don't know why that did that. Sorry, guys. Anyways, so that explains the process of reincarnation for us. So next one. Then I want you to understand the concept. We have many divine laws, but the concept of law, the law of cause and consequence, some other religions call the law of attraction, right? Children and us, we are not victims of situations. We all experience the consequences of our own actions, including children. So whatever situation you are in now, or your child is in now, it's not by mistake. There's a reason for it. It's the law of cause and consequence. The next one I want you to understand is that children are born in families and communities that are the best environment for their spiritual growth. There is no mistake. You are born in the right family, with all the people you actually have leftover business to attend to, and in the right communities, because though that family and that community will provide you that environment necessary to educate your soul. So that's very important to understand, so we don't have that victimhood attitude towards anybody. If a situation was given to us, it's because we have the strength to overcome. And it is the reason why we are here, to become better. So you understand why children are born sometimes in poor families or in a poor country. It is not a punishment. It is a situation that will help the child overcome some tendencies that they have. And we can't understand the reason why. It doesn't matter why that is happening. What it matters is that we face that with courage and we move on. We learn from it. The other one, and that's a very important one, and it's not only the Spiritist doctrine that believes in this. Rudolf Steiner, the creator of the Waldorf schools as well, yeah. And other religions, the Jesuits, as you will see as well, believed in this for a long time. And then you're going to see a video that I'm going to be showing later on to explain better how you become the way you are. It's by Bruce Lipton, that the reincarnation process will be consolidated by the age of 7. What does that mean? From birth to age of 7. That's when all of us, that's when the soul is more malleable, like a Play-Doh, right? That's the right time. It's the most crucial time, actually, for all of us as educators, parents, caretakers, to plant the right seeds into that fresh, malleable ground, then to create that structure and that support for the child to then have the foundation to overcome their bad tendencies and to nourish the good tendencies. So 0 to 7 is the most crucial time period of a child in their lives. And it's consolidated by the age of 7, which means the spirit is more like over there in the spiritual world than in the body. It's like it is there, but the tendencies from the past lives, those pre-programmed, what I'm going to be calling, it's kind of dormant. And that it's beautiful. It's well divinely created. So we as parents and caretakers have that opportunity to, wow, you observe that child doing something, and then, well, I have to create that limit, that boundary. I have to to act with firm love. That all the things we do to educate the child. So now with this knowledge, the question is, how do we educate a soul that has had many life experience and is back on earth to try again? Right? It is the biggest challenge and the biggest gift as a parent, I can tell you, and as worked with families and children for so long. I think it is the biggest gift we can get, and it's as hard as it's beautiful. So I was just playing around and thinking in my head about my two children who are actually completely different from one another. They couldn't be more different. They actually go to totally different schools because we made sure we tailored towards their personalities. And then I thought, wouldn't it be lovely if every time a child was born, parents receive an instruction manual with the following situation, for example. Let's say Brenda was born. How lovely Brenda was born. Brenda is a loving soul, caring and kind. She decided to come to your family to resolve issues she has with her older sister. So please nurture that relationship and don't take sides. Be fair and focus on developing a healthy and bonding experience for them. Brenda also will have fears of heights due to a fall that ended up in her death in the past life. She also has tendencies for drug addiction. However, her sister can become a great support so she doesn't follow that path again. She's very intelligent and will do well academically, so please encourage a rich learning environment for her, and so on and so on. Wouldn't it be perfect if we received that instruction manual with every child that was in our hands, and maybe that would be passed to the teachers in the classroom, and here we have like a preconceived kind of, checklist of what we've got to do with your child. But guess what? We don't get this, right? And we are the ones that have to figure this out. So for the people who kind of are still on the verge of believing, you sure that we have past lives? Is that true? Well, the good thing is that when we're born again, we forget about our past life experiences. And it's a blessing because can you imagine, like I have issues with my mom, right? And then I know that I did something really hurtful to my mom or she did it to me. How would that really be helpful to this fresh start in our relationship? No, it wouldn't, right? But there are some children that do. And I'm going to show you next this little video of this boy called James. And I want you to notice that actually his name from this incarnation is the same name he had in his past life. And the reason why, for the ones that understand a little bit more Spiritism, is that we as spirits, when we are in the spiritual world planning our next incarnation, have the opportunity, given that we deserve it, to sit down with our spiritual guides, we call them mentors, and then plan our next incarnation. Sometimes we choose our names, and those names are suggestions to your parents. So watch now the memory of a past life of James.
James Leininger. James was born in 1998 and at the age of 2 began to remember having a different life. He pointed to a picture of Iwo Jima and told his shocked parents that this was where his plane had been shot down. They did some research and found that only one plane was shot down over Iwo Jima during the Second World War, and it was flown by American pilot Lieutenant James Houston Jr. Not only did James Leininger remember being shot down, but he correctly stated that his ship was called the Natoma, the USS Natoma to be precise. Lieutenant Houston was shot down in 1945. Little James would also wake from horrible nightmares in which he talked about being on fire, unable to escape from the doomed plane. His parents eventually tracked down members of Lieutenant Houston's crew, now elderly men, and these veterans confirmed that the things James Leininger said were 100% true and frighteningly accurate.
So there we go, right? Sometimes some kids are given the opportunity to remember for some reason, and what I believe is that other people have the opportunity that there is proof there are past lives. We are giving this opportunity to acknowledge and see that there is real past lives. And how wonderful actually his parents had the opportunity to go through a psychiatrist who looked for Dr. Brian Weiss, who does past lives, regression therapy, and have the opportunity to support him and have that closure, right? But can you imagine, he was having dreams actually, that nightmares, that he would go like this, that he was stuck with his feet and with his hands, and that when he was stuck inside of the airplane in his past life and he was on fire. Can you imagine being a mom and not understanding all this background and having, like, you think your child is having some type of psychiatric issue or something, but it's not, right? So with that in mind, and how complex, I would say, it is educating a child, right? And how much it's on our plate and is at stake. And what it's the biggest responsibility that we can have to educate a child, but also the biggest opportunity for our own personal growth. And that's where we're going to go next. So, educating the future leaders of our world. What a responsibility, because they will be, right? And I'd like to start this conversation with the end goal in mind, and then walk backwards to see how we can achieve this goal. So the question is for us, what kind of an adult would you like your children to become? That child that you had in mind. So please shout it out. What kind? Responsible. What else? Happy. Honest. Kind. Sorry? Know how to apply the law of love. Caring, I heard. Compassionate. What else? Strong. Curious. Understanding. Anything else? No? Okay. Now I want you to think about it, and you don't need to answer me that. I know many of you, so I know kind of adults you are, but the ones that I don't, I don't need to know. So what kind of adult did you become? And how your role models impacted you? And what are your role models? Are the people that are surrounding you when you were a child? Your parents, your grandparents, uncle, aunties, if you have them close, your teachers, your church leaders, your neighbors. So think about those people in your life and how they impacted you a little bit. I'm going to give you a minute. Just picture in your head that the social realm that you grew up in. Good? Got it? Okay. How did you become that person that you are today? Do you actually have an idea of how all that cognitive work happened in your brain? How did you acquire experiences? How did you learn? How did it actually you become that person? And the last question is, which factors played an important role on the development of your personality? We already now know that you have a little pre-program you come with, which is our, taking consideration, we believing that we have past lives and reincarnation, that you have that pre-program. You come with your past life experiences as your personality, your positive and negative tendencies. But which other factors played an important role in the development of this personality? And I'm going to introduce you to answer that question. Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's one of my favorite people in this world. Dr. Bruce Lipton is an American developmental cellular biologist. He studies the cells and how the cells respond. Who studies how environmental factors have a greater impact on people's health than genetic ones. Basically, the environment and the experiences that you have in the environment create the neural pathways in your brain that help you and create your personality. So it's not genetics that defines who you are. It's actually the brain develops by experiences of your everyday experience. That's how the neural pathways are created in your brain. And that is perfect if you take in consideration the 0 to 7, right, gap that you have you come with a pre-program, following me, and then the experience, your parents, your teachers are creating these neural pathways. This new programming that in a way is going to override that other program you came in with, to help you navigate this new opportunity, this new life. So that is why it's not genetics that defines you, it's actually your experiences. So let's watch and really pay attention because it's incredible. The only difference is that he does not mention the piece of the reincarnation. He believes on the blank canvas. But besides that, we're gonna put that into perspective and watch what he has to say. Ready? Oops, sorry. Press the wrong button.
95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. That's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction, it's a documentary. Every human, and this is a fact, every human first 7 years is downloaded hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. I said, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's a famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And basically said you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. So you don't have to try and think about what happened. I just say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program that supports them. But anything you struggle with, work hard at, put a lot of effort into making it happen while you're working so hard, inevitably you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override the program. So you don't need to do a lot of strength and psychology stuff. You just look at your life and say, where am I struggling? Because wherever you're struggling, inevitably it's a program in your subconscious that does not support that destination you've been looking for. The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this program, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I go, right, it doesn't. Subconscious mind learns in 2 fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition. practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat with the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z, trying to go to A to Z before you can complete it? And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind, hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called fake it till you make it. Meaning, if you're not a happy person, I say, you want to be a happy person? Then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. I say, well, you don't look happy, right? They say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. If subconscious gets, I am happy, and 95% of your life comes from that subconscious, there will be a point, once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
It'll be automatic.
And that's why we see people do affirmations and gratitude journals and stuff, because if you do that daily...
It's repetitive, and that's the secret part. Look, putting a sticky note on the refrigerator is more like a suggestion, but it's not a repetition. So it doesn't work very well. But you have to do... Repetition is a habit. It's making habit. So you got to do something religiously in the sense of repeating it to make it work.
Amazing, right, guys? So now you're probably thinking to yourself, oh my God, my child is over 7. What am I going to do? I'm screwed, right? No, you're not. Guess what? Making new habits, right? Repetition, doing it over and over again. But also the children that you have from 0 to 7, this is the opportunity. We do live our lives subconsciously, right? We do regurgitate that programming, and if we do not think about what the programming was, if we don't make a conscious effort to go back and look at that and change it, it's not going to change it by itself. And that's the reason we are here for, right? So what would be the steps for us now with all this knowledge to become a powerful leader to our children, to your children, right? What would be the first one? Invest on knowing your child and creating an environment that will make them be successful. Don't forget what I said, the experiences. So they're going to be watching what you do, not what you say. Walk the talk. Do it. Observe them, especially for teachers, educators that work in the classroom. It's easier to observe children who misbehave because the squeaky wheel gets the oil. How about the children that are quiet, they're introverted? Observe your children. Make an effort to get to know them. Relationship is what creates the neural pathways, the experiences. It's what creates everything. Second, become the adult that you dream your child one day will be. Every single word you said, you answered me what type of adult you want your child to become. Are you that? So become that intentionally. Be their role models. Get to know yourself emotionally and deeply understanding of your upbringing. Go deep and understand your program. We are programmed, pre-programmed. So understand that programming and question it. Because that's the only way you're going to change. But observe it. Make amends once you observe that program with that past. And make a list of the things you'd like to change. For example, for me, a lot of things in my upbringing from my parents, a lot of things I liked and I'd like to pass it on when I consciously thought about it. Other things, I crossed it out. I said, I am not going to be doing that to my children or to myself. So do that consciously. It's so important. And then if you have issues with your family, with your loved ones, be that role model for them in resolving those issues. Be that role model for your children, that they can watch you resolving those issues with your families, because then they're going to resolve the issues if they have any or in any time in life issues with you, right? Again, you do what you watch, not what you say. So forgive, forget, and move on, and do whatever you need to do. You need to get a therapist to help you out, get a therapist. You need to go to fraternal counseling, go to fraternal counseling. Counseling is so important, the support. Do the work. We are here for that, nothing else. We are here to become better people and help our children to become better people. So work diligently and powerfully in your inner transformation. Take that list and then don't put it in the drawer. Take action without excuses. You want your child to grow up healthy, have healthy habits? Well, you create your list. You eat well, you go to the gym, you sleep enough hours, you do your part. Let's not be hypocrites of wanting dreaming your child one day will be, I want my child to be in sports and be good, if you're not doing it. It's like, you're upset that your child didn't do that homework and not on top of things. Are you on top of things in your life? Are you on top of things on the goals that you created? So do your part, but encourage also others who belong to your circle to do theirs. Because guess what? Every single second of the day, they are downloading you into them. If they 0 to 7, and then if they pass that age, they are copying what you're doing, not what you're saying. Imitation. How do you learn how to brush your teeth in the morning? Unconsciously. You wake up and you just do it, and your children wake up and just do it, hopefully, right? One day it gets it. But that's the work every day. And then encourage people in your community, because a child lives in a system. It's a systematic education. It's a child in the family, then it's a child in the neighborhood, and a child in the school. It's systems. And the child in the church. All those people that are involved with your children are going to shape who your child is, right? So if you have a school, invest in emotional intelligence for your teachers, for administrators, for the families. Everybody has to work on themselves simultaneously. That's the work. And the question of this presentation is, how do you become a leader to your child? Like, how is your leadership is shaping your child? Is shaping your child every single moment of the day by who you are? That is the question. That is the answer. So let's develop good habits and teach them to our children, especially self-discipline, right? In the things that we wanted to accomplish. So final reflections. So again, what kind of adult would you like your children to become? Is the adult that I hope that you can invest on to be now, today, right? Adults who are emotionally intelligent, who invest on long-lasting relationships with love and kindness, who communicate with compassion and confidence, who face their problems with courage without hiding or escaping, who are self-disciplined, who love unconditionally, and it can go on and on. But if you invest yourself on doing those things and observing your child and creating that foundation for those goals, guess what? It's going to happen. It starts at home, it starts at school, it starts with you. Thank you.